Welcome to another episode of Omega Matters, the little show where my dad and I have a casual conversation about nutrition, research, and omega-3s. My name is Kristina Harris-Jackson. I'm the Director of Research at Omega Quant Analytics, a clinical lab specializing in fatty acid analysis. I'm also a nutritional science researcher and registered dietitian. My dad, Bill Harris, is a world-renowned scientist in the field of nutrition, specifically in the realm of omega-3 fatty acids. He founded Omega Quant and has also founded a newly formed Fatty Acid Research Institute, or FARI for short. And he started Omega Quant about 10 years ago to be able to offer fatty acid testing through the omega-3 index to clinicians. And the omega-3 index is a marker of omega-3 intake and a risk factor for cardiovascular disease that Dr. Harris and Von Schacke established in 2004. And recently, because of the omega-3 index and the creation of that, he was determined to be one of the top 2% scientists in the world based on the impact in his field of research.
Not top two. Who's number one?
Really something. So that's us. And today we're going to be joined by Gonzalo Caceres, who is that right?
Yep.
Good. Gonzalo Caceres, who is the commercial director at TASA, which is a major fishery and producer of fish meal and fish oil off the coast of Peru. Gonzalo went to the Universidad Católica Santa Maria for undergraduate studies in economics, the Universidad de Piura for his MBA, and Northwestern University Kellogg School of Management for business marketing strategy. So he's very much on the business and production side of things, but still knows a thing or two about the science. He's been in the fish oil industry since 2012, overseeing the process from fishery to distillery to finished product. And we brought him on Omega Matters to tell us about that process. So thank you for joining us. And if you could start by just telling us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up in this field, that'd be great.
Thank you. No, I'm very happy to be with you guys and to share my experience with your audience. And I'm in TASA and this world of the anchovies and fish oil, the omega-3s, since 2012, and before I was working on produce and then textiles. So pretty much more than 16 years on international businesses. I'm very happy to be in this industry, because finally your work means something, and especially the health of people. So yeah, I'm very happy to share my experience with you on this field.
Great.
Yeah,
well, our primary incentive for, I think, reaching out to you to see if we could have a chat was just concerns we often hear about the quality of fish oils. Where do these come from? Are we fishing out the oceans and destroy all the fish in order to feed? All those questions. And we're going to take about 20 or 30 minutes just to cover some of those, but I appreciate you coming because you've got such a big spread of it. So I guess I'd just like you to walk through for a consumer, who says, well, where does fish oil come from? How do we get it from? Are we catching crappie and walleye and catfish here and grinding them up, and where's it come from? So what's your standard explanation of that?
Perfect. Well, when you see a fish, I think the people must understand that it's very similar as the humans in terms of composition, okay? Because 70% of the weight of the fish is water, okay? 25% is all the muscles, skin, etc. that finish on the fish meal, on the protein product, okay? And 5% on average, okay? This is an anchovy because there's some fish with more percent of fat, is fat, And that's what we call fish oil, okay? And this is very important because sometimes the consumers of the people in the industry, they think, okay, the fish oil doesn't mean anything with the fish meal, okay, but they come together. It's coming from the same fish, okay? And part of the industry, or not the part, all the industry is trying to maximize the production of both, okay, and trying to increase the yield on production from the fish in or the products out. So this is very important, okay? Another issue that is, I think is important is go back to the history, okay? Because now everybody's talking about fish oil, omega-3s, but if you come back 25 years ago, the fish oil was not as popular as today. You used to have the cod liver oil that everybody used to have that, I don't know, 60 years ago or something like that. And then we had the omega-3s, the PDHA. But if you go to Peru, that is what I said, the breadbasket for all the EPA, DHA in the world. And now, later we're going to talk about it. The production of fish oil was probably higher than today, okay? I think with all the niños and the regulation that we put in place to try to be more awareness with the biomass, okay? I think we are catching less quantity than before, and the production of fish oil is lower than before. I think the average in the last 8 years from Peru is 150,000 tons of crude fish oil, okay? That is the process where you catch the fish, then you cook it and separate between the protein base and the fat, okay? That product is the crude fish oil. This production from Peru is 150,000 tons on average in the last 8 years. But if you come back to the, I don't know, 20 years ago, Peru produced pretty much the double, okay? When we have way more production of fish.
That's an interesting point. So you're actually not taking as much fish out now as you because you want to maintain the fishery.
Yes, I think there's a learning curve, okay? Because I think as an industry and as a government, that is a very important part of the industry. I think the regulations are more strict, and I think the understanding of the biomass, okay? Because I think the core value that we have as a company, I think in Peru as well as an industry, is the sustainability, okay? And the sustainability, you can define different things, okay? But for us, it's more, okay, we want to stay in the business for a long time. So it's better to take care of the biomass. No? So I think that the government made a very good work in the last years. And in 2007 or 8, where we made all the quota systems that we changed in Peru, the regulation changed completely and the number of boats decreased more than 50%, and the factories as well. And everything is under control today. We have 2 seasons per year where the government, before the quota is announced, they make a whole study for 45 days to see what is the conditions of the sea and the biomass, the sexual growth, etc., etc., etc. And based on that, they define if we have a quota or not, and how much is going to be that quota based on the total biomass that is usually no more than 25 to 30%. And why I'm telling you all this, because there's some years, especially when we had the Niño years, where the government said, we are not going to open this season, okay? And we are talking an industry of more than $1 billion a year, okay? So when a government has that power and this is backed up by the industry, that's where you can see that the sustainability part plays a role, an important role.
Do those rules apply around the world, or is that just Peru?
I think more countries are following, okay, us in terms of this, and not all, okay, and not every species, okay. That this is the big challenge, I think, for the future, you know, how all the countries and per species in the countries we can apply these rules. You know? Yeah. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. What percent of the total raw fish oil comes from the Peru, Chile, from the Pacific coast to South America?
Yeah. So let me, yeah. So let me come back some years before, okay, to complete the history. Because now we're talking on fish oil, omega-3s, but if you come back 25 years ago, that Peru was the important country supplying fish oil, blah, 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 we used to burn the fish oil as a fuel.
Fuel?
Energy. Yeah, okay. Because what's not the market that we know of today, okay? And we used to export a lot of fish oil as a margarine base, okay? Because, yeah, the omega-3s, relative new, okay? So, and this is not so long ago. I'm talking 20 years ago, okay? And then the game changer was two things, no? The two industries was the aquaculture, especially the salmon, okay, that they need some very good base of fat as an energy with EPA and DHA, and then all the industry, as we know today, in supplements and pharmaceutical with the EPA, DHA.
Yeah.
So that changed in the last 20 years. What's
the separation between how much omega-3 product goes to humans and how much goes to fish?
Yeah. Okay, so come back to your question about the production. Usually the production of fish oil around the world, and this is very technical, okay? You can produce in the world more than 1,000 tons of fish oil globally, okay? The question is 1,000 tons. How much of that is omega-3 DHA? That's a completely different question, because there's a lot of fish that doesn't have very good quantity of EPA DHA. So I don't know, if you go to the pangasius and the tilapias, it's very difficult to find EPA DHA in that fish. Okay, so what IFO and GOET does, they measure the total production of the fish oil with some quantity of EPA DHA inside. That is the 1,000 tons that I'm telling you. Okay.
Oh, okay.
From that, Peru represents at least 25% of the total production of the fish oil. Okay, so it's big, but it's most important is when you measure the EPA DHA production. From this 1,000 tons of fish oil, how much is EPA DHA? Only, okay? And we estimate that it's around less than 200,000 tons of only EPA DHA. Okay, so 20% of the total production of fish oil. And from that, Peru is 30%.
Oh,
so that's why it's so relevant, the production of Peru. No?
Yeah.
And the other thing is that based on the production of EPA, different countries, now we can talk about our industry of supplements, okay, that is used, and is our industry, I think they take no more than 20% of the total fish oil that is produced. Okay, the
20%?
Other 20%, yeah, and the other 70% is aquaculture.
Okay, so most of it goes to feed other fish.
Yeah, so and well, the big example is the salmon, the farm salmon. You know? Yeah. And I think today the farm salmon consumes more EPA DHA than our industry of supplements, you know, by far.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah.
Because the goal is the same at the end of the day. You as a consumer, what you want is have EPA DHA in your intake daily. No matter if it's a supplement or it's a salmon or any kind of food. No, at the end is, if you add all that in your diet, I think is the goal.
Yeah, right. So on the supplement side, we hear about fish oil supplements, and we hear about omega-3 concentrates. What's the difference between those things?
Okay, so you start with the crude oil, that is the raw material, okay, the crude fish oil. After that, what you have to do is clean the product, because if you see the color of the crude fish oil, it's like black coffee. It's very, very
really
dark. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay. I think I have a picture you sent me. Let me put this screen up and you can talk about it.
So that's the crude oil. Okay, that in the reality is not as yellow as you see in the picture. It's actually black.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not that yellow, huh?
Yeah. Is more dark, and what you do, the first part of the process, okay, is try to neutralize and bleaching. So you try to do is to take out all the free fatty acids and the color, okay? Then the next step is what we call the distillation process or the molecular distillation, where you take out all the PCBs and different contaminants that you can have in the oil. So it's
now,
clean.
How are you protecting the EPA and DHA from being degraded in all this process?
It's the control of temperatures. You know? At the end of the day, is that if you control very well the temperatures, you are not going to damage any part of the oil. So, but
yeah.
on that, in that part, you don't transform anything on the fish oil. Okay, you are going to maintain the same molecular structure. You only are going to clean the oil. That's it. No?
Okay.
And then you have the other part that is the winterization process, because the oil, if you put it as, I don't know, -5 or 0, you are going to have two parts. You know, the olein, that is the liquid part of the oil, that is the one that is in the soft gels. And then you have the estering, that is the solid part at some lower temperature. Okay, so the winterization process, what it does is separate the two fractions.
So it's simply cooling. That's what winter comes from, I guess. Huh?
Yeah. So the estering is the margarine, okay, if you want to call it that way. No? Yeah. So the olein, that is the liquid part, you put it to the next process, that is the blending and drumming, because we usually export the product in drums and we ship it everywhere in the world. Right? So our customers that are the main soft gel manufacturers and brands, what they do, they take this oil, and with that oil, they do the final soft gels that you can find in the stores.
Okay, and this is about the 1812 oil?
Yeah, that's it's the 1812 of the 30% that we call it. That is the important is how much EPA DHA they have. Okay, so it's at least 260 milligrams per gram in 1 gram of oil.
How much does the EPA DHA value vary season to season?
That's the issue, because when you talk about the 1812, it's a specific ratio of 160 milligrams of EPA and 100 of DHA. Okay, but there's another oil in the market that is called the standard oil, that they don't make the differentiation between EPA DHAs, a total quantity of EPA DHA 260, but have the same amount of the 1812. But usually is more like a balance, okay? Is more like a, I don't know, 1313 or 1612 or something like that. No? So it's sometimes more EPA than DHA generally. No? Yeah.
So, and that's unique to anchovy. That's their own characteristic ratio. Are there fish oils that are natural fish oils that are more DHA than EPA?
Yeah, especially tuna. No? Tuna is way more DHA than EPA.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's another thing to ask you, is to tell you that I forgot in the first part, is that between Peru, Turkey, and Morocco, we have the 40% of the total production of DHA.
Oh.
So and if you add the north of Chile, you can go to the 45 to 50% of the so
okay.
It's concentrated. These oils are concentrated in only few countries, and it's incredible, because when we talk about the standard oils, you start the crude oil with that level, Bill. Okay. So all the other oils around the world, they start with 22%. Peru and Morocco, we have 28, 30%. Okay, so for the standard oils, yes, you only qualify as Peru and Morocco for that kind of products.
Okay. Yeah, because I was under I always thought it was very cool that the cold water fish need the omega-3s because they're in such cold water, and it allows them to be flexible. So your winterization process kind of demonstrates how important those unsaturated fats are to the actual fish. But then you're talking about the waters that most of these fisheries are in, and the Pacific can get quite cold, but none of these places are like in Antarctica or North, like Norway. They're not in the cold waters you think of. If we did have fisheries up there, would those be potentially richer in EPA and DHA, or is there kind of that ceiling of 30%?
Yes, I think it's I think that the highest is the 30% that is coming from Peru. I haven't seen anything higher than that. And we'll make a question about the different kind of profiles that we have during the season. And this is incredible, because every season is different. Okay, and when you see how much oil we produce per season, we can go from 2% to 6%. Okay, and this is the same production, it's the same process and everything, because the fish sometimes they swim more and they burn more fat. Okay, so that's why it changed a lot. And the profiles between the north of Peru and the center and the south is completely different. So that's why we have to make a lot of work trying to blend one profile with another profile to try to serve our customers. No, but it's not the challenge, and trying to forecast what is going to be the profile is, we tried.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. So this is concentrated.
Okay, so the history. Okay, so what happened there? Okay, we already talked about the crude oil. Then you all the process that you have to do to put it in a soft gel for refined oil. So what at the end of the day, what you do when you take a standard oil or refined 1812, you're thinking 260 milligrams per gram of EPA DHA in your body. So, but what all the different institutes and research recommended that you should take at least more than half a gram per day. Okay, so if you want to cover that, you need to take at least 2 to 3 soft gels per day.
That's these things, right? And the standard ones.
Yeah, but you can do it. Okay, I did. But now the people said, okay, no, but we want to take less fish oil. We only want to take the EPA DHA, and we don't want to take a big soft gel, and 3, we want to only 1. So that's why the concentrates play a part. Okay, so the process is pretty much at the beginning is the same, because you start with the crude, you have to clean it, you have to do all the molecular distillation, and then you do the ethylation, because that's the part where you have to change the structure of from TGs to ethyl esters. Okay, because that's the only way that you are going to concentrate more level of EPA DHA in the same gram. Okay, and that's different technologies that you can see there. So everything is depending on what is the amount of concentration. No? Because the first we had is the 1812, then you have the double strength, that is the 3322, then there's some innovation to 3624, 4020, 5020. So you can go now up to 95% or more with the pharmaceutical grades. You know? So you have all the different ranges there. So depending of what kind of concentrations you can do. The easiest way to know how much concentrated is your oil is go to your label on the substance, and you have to add EPA DHA and divide it to the total fat, and that's where we are going to see how much concentrated it is now.
Okay, so these are. What does SPD stand for?
The SPD is a technology for the look at me there.
It's a distillation.
Distillation. It's a distillation.
Okay. And then, so obviously, the more concentrated it is, the more expensive it is, because you got more processes to go through.
Yeah. The problem is not only the more expensive is the yield. Okay, because from when you start with the crude oil that you have 28 or 30% of EPA DHA, and you want to take it out to 90%. Okay, it's not only the variable cost to do it, okay, and the energy and the technology and everything, is how much you are not going to use from the raw material. So all that waste is going to be very expensive.
Oh yeah.
So you have to see the whole, no?
Yeah, right. And go ahead, Kristina.
I was just gonna say, what kind of uses are there for the extra fish oils or the other?
Yeah, well, you have there's a lot of that we use for aquaculture as well, because at the end of the day you have a lot of energy in the fish oil that you can say it as it is, but it's not going to be the same value as the EPA DHA.
Right.
If you compare, for example, the rapeseed oil, that is the product that all the feed companies use for aquaculture, I don't know, the price is sometimes 40-50% less than the fish oil. No? So that's tell you the value of only the EPA DHA content the fish oil.
Yeah, yeah. How low, I mean, I assume salmon require EPA and DHA just for optimal health and growth. Is that level still being met when they're blending vegetable oils in with fish oils to feed the salmon?
Yes. I think that the salmon industry, they make very good investments during the years to try to optimize the formulation. And I think they have a ratio, if I'm not wrong, between 7, 6 to 8% of the inclusion of EPA, DHA in the formula to try to meet the requirements of the health of the fish, but especially is not only that, no, is your value proposition to your customers. Okay, because I don't know, 10 years ago, you went to the doctor and said, hey, you need to take more EPA, DHA, take a sample. Okay, so not take a fish oil substitute. No? So yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, right. So what's the future look like in terms of other sources of EPA and DHA besides fish?
No, I think the world is growing. Yeah, okay, and we would like to have all the market based on fish oil and everything from Peru, but it's not going to be possible, no? Because we need to give to the people more ingredients and substitutes, and we don't believe that the algae oil is going to subsidize the fish oil. I think they're part of the same industry, and we have to work together in the formulation. So I think the challenges that I see is that we have to tell more to the customers what we are doing in terms of sustainability. Okay, I think we have to tell them, and I think the brands they need to market that very clearly. And the other thing is that the big brands or the brands, they have to tell to your customer where the oil is coming from. Okay, because if you see a label and you see, okay, fish oil, and they're going to say anchovies, sardine, mackerel, tuna, or the combination of everything, I think we can do way better than that. Okay, I think the customer, especially on the health, and after that we see the pandemic and everything, we need to know. Okay, so I want to know as a consumer that the fish oil that I'm buying is coming from Chile, from Peru, from Morocco, from where? Okay, so I think there's a lot of work that we have to do as an industry, and it's going to start with us as a fishery, to tell them to everybody this, and we have to work with the brands and the retailers to communicate that. So I think this is the first thing, and the other thing is that we have to find way more ways to deliver EPA, DHA to the public, no matter that it's fish oil, algae oil, whatever. Okay, because at the end of the day, it's not only a business. Okay, we try to save people's life with this.
Right.
So as much of the people take more EPA, DHA is going to be better for them.
Yeah, that's a great point to end on. I think so. We probably better wrap up. Kristina, you got any final comments there?
No, that was really fascinating. Thank you for making that clear and it's bringing your real world perspective to it.
Right.
It's great. I don't have any other questions.
Well, thank you, Gonzalo.
Yeah.
No, thanks to you guys, and anything you need, let me know. And happy week.
Happy
Happy week to you too. Stay safe. Take care.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye. Bye.